Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Lowenberg, producing director of LA Theater Works. Today, our special guest is Jessica Dickey, author of Searching for Galileo's Daughter. This is the second time we've worked with Jessie, following her remarkable play about the invention of the pap smear, Nan and the Lower Body. Some of her other critically acclaimed works include The Convent, The Rembrandt, The Amish Project, and Charles Ives' Take Me Home. Jessica Dickey, welcome to LA Theater Works.
Thank you so much.
There's a line in the play that recurs like the theme of a musical work. I have come to Italy to research the letters of Galileo's daughter. Sometimes it's a statement of fact, other times it's a plea or even a drunken admission. Where did you get the inspiration for this journey?
I think the interest first struck. I was rehearsing a different play about a mathematician and his daughter, David Auburn's Proof. And it came up in rehearsal that Galileo had had a daughter with whom he was very close and who was connected to his work. And so I think that kind of just sort of caught my imagination right there. And so I picked up David Sobel's wonderfully researched book, Galileo's Daughter, and proposed it to Ensemble Studio Theater as a Sloan grant. I think when I applied for the grant, my life was one way. And then when I received the news that I'd gotten the grant, my life was very different. And in that chaos, I used the grant money to go to Italy to research the play, and the journey sort of launched from there.
Galileo and his daughter have an easy, warm relationship based on respect and scientific inquiry. Did you imagine some of that for the play, or did that come through in her letters?
Yeah, in David Sobel's book, Galileo's Daughter, that was a big part of my research for the project. And in it, the letters absolutely reflect the closeness and affection between Galileo and Maria Celeste. I'd say I enjoy writing parents and children. So it was very fun for me to sort of metabolize that research as my foundation and then free my imagination to give shape and texture to what their intimacy might have been like. But yes, we do know that she was very dear to him and very involved in his work and his life. Yes.
She became Maria Celeste after entering a convent. She had an agile mind, which obviously would have served her well in the sciences. Do you think she was able to reconcile her scientific curiosity with her life as a nun?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, we do know that she applied her considerable talents and panache for productivity, clearly instilled in her by her father. When she was at the convent, she was the convent apothecary. She taught astronomy. She was given considerable responsibilities. I have a feeling she was heading for leadership. So on top of everything that she was doing for Galileo, she was copying his work. She was writing him regularly. She was writing on his behalf once he was called by the Inquisition. She petitioned the elite in the country and his friends to speak up for his innocence. She found his real estate. I mean, she really did a lot, all from this small convent. But I can't help but feel what she really would have wanted is to be by his side. You know, her loyalty and devotion to him was so singular. And I kept running into that as a contemporary woman writing this story, that Maria Celeste's selflessness and life of service, service to the convent, but also service to her father and his mission. So a part of me can't help but mourn, yes, what she didn't get to do with all that ingenuity and intelligence and verve in the sciences or whatever she might have chosen because she was a girl.
I'm wondering, why did she enter a convent with this kind of mind and this father and all of the incredible possibilities that she, could have pursued?
Yeah. I mean, I think part of that is just being a product of the time. You know, women kind of had these two tracks in front of them. It was really, you could get married and have babies, or you could go into a convent. And in the case of Galileo's daughter, she was considered illegitimate because Galileo was not married to her mother. That really sort of directed her path towards a convent. But I also think, and this is something that the play sort of takes a little liberty with, I think that Galileo knew, that his life was always riding on that line because of his work and the nature of his boundary pushing with his work. I think, at least in the play, he really leans into the idea that he's going to need to protect her. And from the political upheaval and troubles and troubling times that they were heading into. And so a convent was another way to do that as he pursued telling the truth of what his scientific research was yielding.
So did he encourage her to enter a convent?
Yes. So, in the play, she went into the convent very, very young. So I think it's more like, rather than encourage, it's more like what he did. It's sort of like what happened. But I'd like to think that, his motives were also about making sure that she could be free to work and study in a convent, but really it was kind of about limited choices that were available. And I think trying to do the best with what they could. I think there's a case to be made for, that maybe the play gives him the benefit of the doubt on that, that sort of believes the relationship as the letters tell it. And that he was really trying to protect her and give her the best life given the choices that were available.
I was going to ask you what you thought Maria Celeste would make of the 21st century, but I think you answered that, at least in part, when in the play she commends you for wearing pants. Did you see her as someone who could have prospered in today's world?
I think most definitely. I think she was incredibly brave and intrepid. I think she had a profound sense of integrity and loyalty. And I just would like to believe that kind of intelligence and industriousness would thrive in any time period, including her own, which was practically impossible for someone in her circumstance.
You have a unique ability as a storyteller to weave your own life into your works to great effect. In Nan in the Lower Body, you meet your late relative Nan in a spiritual realm and tell her everything you always wanted to say to her. And in Searching for Galileo's Daughter, you encounter Maria Celeste in magical spaces that span the centuries. What is it like to bare your soul this way in the service of telling a great story?
First of all, thank you so much for everything you just said. It's never the plan per se to have my life intersect with the play. But I first of all, I guess I have to confess right away that I believe in the mystery of where ideas come from, and that an artist catches that inspiration and filters it through their own heart. And I guess I believe that process has a kind of medicine that I can offer the artist if we're open to it. But I have learned to listen to the play as it comes through, even if it deviates from what would be safe or convenient, or even what I had previously hoped or thought the play was going to be. And in the case of both Nan in the Lower Body and Searching for Galileo's Daughter, the play sort of called on something specific in my own life and sort of lit up a little corner that had been darkened until then. And it was an invitation to see what that alchemy might bring. So it's almost like writing. I really think writing is a kind of deep listening, and I've learned to trust that process, even if it's can be very unsettling and vulnerable. I believe in it, and I find it very rich in the end and rewarding.
What do you want listeners to take away from Searching for Galileo's Daughter?
Oh, just the fact that now audiences will know about her, will know about Maria Celeste, that Galileo had a daughter and that she was of such importance to him in his work. That alone gives me such a deep satisfaction. And, I also hope that the play is a chance to visit Italy, and how, in places like Florence, that there's these multiple time periods and layers of culture that can intersect and interweave at the same time. We can sort of walk those spaces now as a contemporary person and really feel the presence and the echo and import of the past. I think there's a lot of humor in the play, so I hope it's fun. But I also think the play is wrestling with what it means to devote your life to a cause and what happens when the times that we live in force us to change course and adapt. And I think the play is meditating on what it means to heed one's own truth, even at great cost. And so I hope the play somehow makes a little space inside the audience to sit with themselves and their own life with those themes.
You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I love my time with LA Theatre Works, so thank you so much for having me.
Well, Jessica Dickey, thank you so much for joining us today.